Sounds good. All right, sounds good. I guess we could begin if you two wouldn't mind spelling your first and last names for me.
I'm Valerye, legally Huff, but go by Zimmerman. So that's Valerye and Zimmerman.
I'm Eric Zimmerman, EricZimmerman.
All right, fantastic. So I guess really there's really no really easy way to prepare or ask a good first question, but I guess the through all that you guys have been through the past week, what's this whole feeling been like, just going through the motions over the past couple weeks after all the island has been through with the wildfires?
It's been a wild couple weeks, that's for sure. Our home particularly burned down, so we were involved in all of that chaos. But since then, the West Side community in particular has really come together. There's people shuttling things into boat ramps from another island of Molokai, and just everyone really just taking care of each other. We particular at Merriman's are delivering meals to people, since not everybody is able to travel. Some of the older folks or homes that are housing 15 misplaced, Lahaina refugees at a time and can't cook for, 15 or 20 people twice a day. So that's kind of been our niche, and we've just been trying to stay busy.
Yeah, stay busy. The community response is really what's fueling us, and that's where it all started. Obviously President Joe Biden was here yesterday. I have no comment on that. We were blessed enough to actually be there for it, and everybody did their best to make it a cool community event. And I think there's still more answers. There's still so much unknown. I mean, 2 weeks seems like a long time away. We're out of the news cycle already. There's, a storm in California. There's this, that, and the other, but the real work is just getting started. There's aid stations everywhere that are being consolidated. They're trying to get everything into one hub to make it easier for, I don't know who. It seems like to me it would make things more difficult to have everything in one place because of the foot traffic and the traffic alone. But yeah, we just don't want the first responders, the medical professionals who are out there in the sun all day treating patients because our medical facilities burned down on the west side. The National Guard are there protecting the neighborhoods and making sure that there's no looting happening. And so we're grateful for that. That's just what's fueling us, is feeding people. We've been in the restaurant industry for a long time, and that's what we're going to continue to do after this. And while we're going through this transition, do our part to make sure that everybody's getting a meal and have something to look forward to on a daily basis.
And I guess if you don't mind, kind of take us back, when the fires first broke out. Obviously, the images we saw, coming from all over, the island, just really devastating images. But talk about when it all started, what that experience was like, what you saw, what all you guys went through that first day when the fires broke out.
Yeah, so it was just supposed to be in the weather forecast super windy. So we were just expecting it to be windy. We woke up and the power had been out since about 5 a.m. And shingles were blowing off our roofs. Yeah. It was super crazy. There had been a little brush fire up Lahaina Luna Road way earlier in the day that they said was 100% contained, and no one really thought anything of it. And then 1 minute we're going to the grocery store to get peanut butter and jelly sandwich stuff for dinner, since we're not going to have any power. And literally an hour later, we're running out of the house with our backpacks and our dog, left the car because traffic wasn't moving. There's really one way to get out. Pretty much once we saw a live ember in our backyard is when we were like, we're out of here, kind of thing. Because everyone was just waiting for someone to tell us to leave.
Communications were down.
Yeah, so phones were down. We thought maybe they'd put the tsunami sirens, or I don't know, a police car was. We don't know what it would have been, but we thought there would have been something. So I think everyone waited too long, because we were just kind of waiting to be told what to do. And thank goodness we left when we did. because we ran down the street to a friend's house, and he went back
I
to
ran
our
back.
place.
There's a multitude of reasons. So we were kind of tracking the wind and the first fire, and all of a sudden the smoke started to come. I have video documentation from 2 o'clock till we evacuated at 4 o'clock. Really, 4:03 I think is when we made the call. I wanted to get her out of there. We ran up the street with a dog, took her to where I thought was going to be a safe place for her to stay, while I ran back to make sure that our neighbors were okay and to grab some personal belongings. And when I ran back, I'm happy to send you the videos. It looked like
trees were already on
trees
fire.
were already on fire.
Yeah.
Parts of the complex were on fire. It was pitch black when I got in there. So we grabbed minimal things and ran back to find her. And we had gotten separated because my friend thought he saw me drive by. So she started chasing me, ran into another friend. It was getting too crazy and chaotic for them to stay. So they started making their way north. I stayed in town looking for her, going back and forth, and asking all their friends that I'd be seeing stuck in their cars because we were on foot, which was honestly the smartest thing to do, asking if they saw Val. And then I realized, okay, going backwards, no one has seen her. So I kept going on foot. We saw our friend Paele on a bike, or I saw my friend Paele on a bike. I was like, Paele, have you seen Val? And thank God she was leaving little breadcrumbs as to where she was headed. I changed course and just beelined up the highway where traffic was stopped, ran into our friend. They gave us a ride to the neighborhood that I knew she was in, and we were able to reunite for one of the greatest moments in history of our lives.
It happened really
It happened
fast.
so fast.
And when we were running down Front Street, it was like a war zone. Things were exploding. I don't know if it was propane tanks or cars or transformers or what, but everything was exploding around you. It was dark. There was live ash. It was just chaos.
And people, I mean, we've been able to reconnect with our friends that I've seen who are sitting in the cars. No one had any idea what was going on. I'm covered literally in black ash with a backpack on. I'm sure I had a look of something on my face that I've never had on my face before. And no one knew what was going on and how horrible it really was. And then we're passing by some people, they're sitting in their front yard drinking a beer like it's a show, and they weren't prepared for it. And hours later, that neighborhood's gone too. So there was just no communications. The wind was so intense that it took everything out, and no one had a way to communicate to let each other know that this was happening. And so the delay is what caused much of the issues as far as the casualties are concerned.
And you talk about it being so fast and so very chaotic and everything. When you had the minute, when you two reunited, were able to process, what just happened and everything. I mean, what was that like, just to realize, the neighborhood that you've been staying in, and your home, that's now gone, consumed by the fire, consumed by the ash, consumed by, all the chaos that had happened earlier that day.
We didn't really think about that at that point in time. We were kind of just so grateful to be at our friend's home and to have them welcome us, because we still didn't know the extent. I thought maybe, I tried to fight it with a little garden hose and realized, okay, this isn't going to work. But I thought, we still had hope that maybe the wind stopped and the fire department got down there, and maybe we'd be going back the next day, and it wasn't a big deal. So we never really thought about it. But that night where we were staying, the sky looking over Lahaina was orange all night. And I think that's when we realized that things are gone. We processed it as fast as we could. We talked about it.
It was so much to process. You get a little numb to it at the beginning. You have minutes where it kind of hits you and you get really emotional, and then you just, again, we've just been trying to stay really busy.
We've done over 16,000 meals now out of the restaurant that we both work for. She's been the coordinator for that. We've got, I think, probably 20 locations at this point in time that we're dropping meals to on a daily basis. All of the aid stations, the medical supply stations, and again, like Val mentioned earlier, the homes of people who maybe have elderly people who aren't capable of going and getting food for themselves. There's there's still people in neighborhoods in the affected area that aren't leaving, that don't have power, that are staying, that if they do leave, they're not going to be able to get back in. So we're trying to get them food, give them something to look forward to, and keep communicating with the other organizations that are providing other services so we can make it as efficient as possible.
And you mentioned about staying busy with the work that you guys are doing to help with the relief efforts. And if I ask you to repeat yourselves, I apologize. But talk about the the work that you and the restaurant are doing to get food out to folks that have been displaced, or folks that are stuck where they're at, where they need the food at this present time. Talk about that effort to get the necessary food to people that really need it.
Yeah, so there's plenty of places out here, like World Central Kitchens out here, Mercy Kitchen, a lot of like places, relief foundations that come into these situations. But we've just found that all the people working at like the Kaiser tents, like when we show up with food for them, they're not taking a break to sit and eat themselves. And they just go into their food right away. And these National Guard guys that are huddled under a little shaded tent on a super hot Lahaina day, they're stoked to get their meal a day, or just these, kind of essential workers that are out there. And, it's, the grocery stores aren't like what they used to be. There's not those like easy. I think McDonald's just reopened.
Yeah, we have
here,
a couple restaurants now. We have one grocery store.
West Side was already pretty isolated as it is. So we're just finding those little niche places where we can bring the food to them. We have food here available too, along with some Starlink internets. So with the satellite internet, so people can connect with loved ones, like finish business if they need to, because they're saying it's going to take about a month to get the internet back out here. So that's kind of a really big deal. Communication was a problem the day of, and communication's still been a really big problem right now. Even for the effort we're trying to do to make sure we're not doubling up on any locations we're feeding to. So each day we're getting more and more organized, but we're also here trying to provide like a sense of normalcy too. Some of our dining room musicians are coming and playing here. So when people are on the internet or eating, they can have some live music and just, feel that community.
Yeah. And the leadership of Merriman's and Kapalua, our CEO and Peter Merriman himself, I mean, they got us so many resources so quickly. And it started, we were here the day after, essentially. It was 2 weeks ago. Today was a Tuesday. I think we showed up on Wednesday. We had Starlink by Thursday, and we're able to, we fed 1,200 people on the first day. That just came and waited in line, and we were cooking outside on things that didn't need electricity because we didn't have power for a few days. And it slowly evolved, now that there is more aid available for people, everybody does have their power back on. There are the grocery store. So the people coming through the restaurant have become fewer and fewer, but because of that Starlink, people were able to get in contact with FEMA, get in contact with their insurance companies, and then just be surrounded by people they knew. I mean, we're still going places, and I'm still seeing friends be reunited that haven't seen each other from this started. I mean, this is a marathon. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to take years, and the volunteers are going to go away. These big organizations that fly in based on donations and show up and give out meals, how long do they stay? We don't know. So that's where we want to be there, to make sure that these people aren't neglected, who are going to be helping, who are going to be volunteering in the long haul, in the end game for this.
And you mentioned about the community response, the thing that's really been like the bright light through all this. I mean, talk about the community, local businesses, neighbors, just trying to rally together to help each other through this very, very difficult time.
It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I mean, when you think about what so many people have lost, I mean, we're not the only people that have lost everything. There's so many people, and people process things differently. And I think the way that people who have also lost everything are stepping up and being there and helping those in need, local businesses, everyone. We got so many donations from different places. You know, our guests from this restaurant from around the world are reaching out and donating to help, you know, support the staff who lost their homes. I think we had 13 staff members lose everything. And so they've been able to come here. It's just been, I mean, you know, I was able to speak to one of the president's aides yesterday when we got to go to the event that he did. And he said, I go to all these things with the president. He said, I've never seen in a community like this before. We partnered with Operation Barbecue Relief, some good Southern boys who came to Hawaii to make some barbecue. And, you know, the Aloha spirit is a real thing. It doesn't matter if you're from Hawaii. It doesn't matter who you are. Aloha is a very real thing. And it's being demonstrated so heavily right now. And it's what's fueling everyone, is the kindness and generosity of our community. It's truly the community that is getting things done. And
yeah, if we waited just for the government aid, it would have taken like,
we still don't have government aid.
I mean, we do.
We have some.
Yeah, we
but,
do, but
you know,
we would have taken like 3 days for it to like really get in action, because there's so much red tape and stuff. But everyone here just jumped right into action, and it was,
you know,
really
housing
beautiful
people,
to
the people
see.
that were housing us in this neighborhood. There was, I think, every home in the neighborhood were housing people who lost homes. We had one neighbor who was housing a total of 18 people. That was 14 extra that normally were in the house. The hotels have started to open up for shelters
workers,
and for workers. That, you know, all the hotels. I mean, even these large corporations who have so much influence on Maui are doing the right thing right now and taking care of their employees and displaced people. And you know, when does that run out? We don't know. But for right now, it seems like most people are being taken care of. Information is starting to flow, and you know, there is a small amount of normalcy, for what it's worth, you know, available, but you know, the town is gone.
Yeah, and it's West Maui that's gone. We do want to reiterate that the rest of Maui is open. I know there's confusion with that in the beginning. We don't want to see the whole island suffer because of, you know, just what West Maui is going through. Kihei, Wailea, all, you know, South Maui, all that. Visit there, make sure those people stay employed. We want to keep those businesses open and those jobs there. It's just, it's going to take us a little time to rebuild our infrastructure on the west side right now.
Yeah, the west side not available. However, you know, if you do want to come to Hawaii, there are places to go. But please be sensitive if you're going to come here. Please be aware that even if you weren't impacted by the fires, there's still impacted Maui, and there are people suffering everywhere.
So really, as you kind of mentioned, you know, West Side, you know, still, you know, working to rebuild, but you still are encouraging, you know, folks that, you know, not to turn away from Maui, you know, still come to, you know, help out, essentially, because, you know, you met Maui, you know, is really known for the tourism and everything. So you're still encouraging folks to come if they're able to. Even as things are, you know, still trying to get back to some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to prove once again that Maui needs to rely more on I take that. Do not say that. Less on tourism, and more on diversification of jobs here. You know, it's a tremendous opportunity to rebound in a way that's never seen before, and to truly diversify. We used to be, you know, primarily agriculture. Now, unfortunately, tourism is what is leading the charge here, but it's such a wonderful place that we can be doing many other things besides just tourism.
But still come visit.
Of course. And I think if I remember reading from the original article, you guys had moved from Hanover to Maui, what was it, 8 years ago, if I have that correct?
Yeah, that was no, we've been here for probably 14 years. We did leave a little bit in between. I'm born and raised in Hanover, Pennsylvania. Valerie's from Washington State, and we met when I was working in a restaurant as a bartender, and she was a guest, and here we are.
On Front Street.
Had our 9-year anniversary was August 10th. And
air mattress
on a half deflated air mattress at a friend's house. But you know, we had a great day. You know, that was when things were just getting into full swing, and we were able to feed these people and and reunite people and make them happy. And that's all we're trying to do. That's how I think both of us, that's why we're in this industry. We enjoy people. We love people. We love making them happy. We love food. We love feeding them. A good meal can change your day. A good day can change your week. A good week can change your month. A good month can change your year. A good year will change your life. So it all starts with a good meal.
All right, sounds good. Let's see, I have my notes here, and I think honestly that took care of a lot of the questions I did have. But I'm gonna leave the floor open for you guys. If there's anything else you guys would like to add on that I didn't ask about, something that you would like to say, if there's anything else.
Yeah, I just have one thing, keep learning about Hawaii, research Hawaii, educate yourselves on the culture here, and keep it in your minds, and know how important it is to maintain the aloha spirit here, and to just stay positive and keep pushing forward.
Sounds good.